Hey everybody, how's it going? Mike from the Focus Garage here, bringing you an S3 first impressions driving video here. So just want to kind of give you guys a quick little walk around of the car. You may have already seen it in the introduction video, but in case you haven't, here it is. It's a 2016 S3 finished in Sepang blue and beautiful Illinois road salt. We've got GTI Austin wheels on it here with all season tires just to kind of get us through the winter. And we've got some window tint, the black optics package and everything like that. But that's just all. I kind of want to just give you a quick little view of the outside of the car here before we go ahead and dive into the driving clips of it here. So that's what the car looks like. I think it's a real sharp looking car, one of the reasons I picked it out. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump in the car. It's chilly out here and we'll go ahead and start this drive. We are going to be doing another POV video, this time in the brand new to me 2016 Audi S3. Now, unlike the one that was in my GTI where it's just kind of more of like a silent drive and just kind of showing you guys the way the car handles and what it sounds like and everything like that, I wanted this drive to be a little bit more informative and just kind of my first thoughts and impressions about driving this particular car. So without further ado, we're just gonna hop right into it here. As you may have seen in the intro video, which was just recently released, I went ahead and I purchased this Audi S3. Me and a good friend drove it back from pretty much the East Coast all the way back to Illinois here, and that's where we are with it. So a little bit about the car. It is a Audi S3, which if you don't already know, it's just a fancy Golf R. So it's a sedan version of the Golf R. It's got obviously the A3 interior here, as you can see, with some special S, treatments with it. So we've got, the S steering wheel. We've got the nice sports seats there, and a few other things here and there. This car's got obviously some bigger paddle shifters and everything like that, but at its core, the overall drivetrain of the car, it is the exact same thing as a Golf R. So despite the dashboard saying Quattro over there, it is not a real Quattro all-wheel drive system. It is a Haldex-based system, which is exactly the same thing that you would be finding in a Golf R. Now, a little bit about the car. It uses the IS38 turbo versus the GTI, which would have a IS20 turbo, which is just, a smaller version of the turbo that's in this car, and there's a few other differences there. As far as modifications go, this car is also similarly modded to the way that my GTI was. So on this car, we're going to be having a OEM resonator delete. We've got a catted downpipe, a full intake system, a turbo inlet pipe, some motor mount inserts. We've got the access port here, as you can see going. That's got our ECU tune as well as our transmission tune, and then just a few other odds and ends there. This car could greatly benefit from an aftermarket intercooler. Right now in the winter, it's not that big of a deal. You can see the temps for my intake air temps are pretty low, but over time, in the summer and in hotter weather, those are going to be a little bit of a problem there. So this car is an intercooler away from being pretty much where I need it to be. But enough about the car and what's done to it. I just kind of want to tell you my overall thoughts about it. So when I was driving the GTI, and I kind of explained to you guys why I love that car so much, I kind of want to build further on that and elaborate why I like this car just that much more. Now, a lot of people say that you feel the weight of this car more than the GTI, and it kind of feels more cumbersome and things like that. However, this car is optioned with the MagneRide, Audi's magnetic ride suspension, and I've got to say, it blows me away. So I thought the GTI had very, very compliant suspension. This is terrible though, regardless of how good your suspension is. I thought the GTI had pretty good suspension, but boy was I wrong. This, when you're in comfort mode, is so smooth that you can just pretty much glide over bumps and it's like nothing. You see pavement expansions in the road and sewers and things like that, and you drive over it and you don't even feel it. It's absolutely insane how nice of a ride this is for what type of small, short wheelbase car that this is. So that was really, really neat there for me to kind of find out and see that, hey, this is actually a pretty comfortable car. So there's that. Just like the GTI, this has the electronic power steering, so you can change the modes, whether you want it more weighted, more light, anything like that, and kind of everything in between there. A nice thing about this car, though, is that it's got a valved exhaust from the factory. So there's a flap in each side of the exhaust. It's a quad exhaust like the S-Line Audis do, that open and close at around 3,000 RPMs, which is really nice for highway cruising or just cruising around the city. The car's not very loud at all, but if you get into the throttle and you want to open it up, we'll see too in a few seconds here once we get onto a busier road. Once you get around 3,000 RPMs, you can kind of hear that kick over in the exhaust of the flaps opening, and then you get that little bit of added noise from the bypass being open in the muffler, which is neat. I like that. we're gonna actually be able to get it a little bit right now. So I'm sure you could probably hear how when we were driving around kind of normally there before, you can't really hear much of the exhaust at all. It's pretty quiet with the flap closed, even though we've got a downpipe and a resonator to lead. But then when you accelerate into the throttle a little bit there, you can hear it kind of open up. And obviously, I would be ignorant to not cover the biggest reason why you get a Golf R or S3, the all-wheel drive system. Now, I live in Illinois, and as you can see, we've got snow aplenty. There's snow everywhere here. And with snow comes traction issues. So if you've got an all-wheel drive vehicle, you are just that much better equipped for the snow. Now, I'm not saying that a GTI or, a two-wheel drive car is not sufficient for the snow. You could put winter tires on anything and pretty much trek through the snow, but it kind of helps to stack the odds in your favor. So a car like this that has all-wheel drive just feels that much better in the snow. As soon as there's any kind of loss of traction or anything like that, the car just kind of hunkers down and figures it out, and it goes. I mean, I've driven this car in some wintry conditions, and I have not been disappointed at all. The other benefit of that is with that all-wheel drive, you've got the ability to accelerate without wheel spin. Now, with the GTI, with it being stage 2, anytime I got in the throttle hard, first or second gear, it would wheel hop, it would wheel spin. And my fiance would always joke with me where people around me think I don't know how to drive because I'm just spinning the tires. Whereas this car is ludicrously fast at accelerating from a dig or from low speeds. Now, I know I'm not going to be beating anything at roll races on the highway with this, but this car, 0 to 60, is absolutely insane. With the stage 2 mods that are on this car, these S3s and Golf Rs have the ability to run 0 to 60 in the low to mid 3 seconds. So, around 3.3, 3.4 to 3.8 seconds is what this car will run 0 to 60 if you get a good launch. And that's not very hard to do on this car because I've been doing it in colder weather here on all-season tires, which are narrower than what I'm going to put on the car in the summer, and it hooks. I've only gotten wheel spin once in the car, and that was when it was wet outside. Obviously, the car spun for a quick second there, and then it figured it out. But anytime I get into this throttle here from, a dry perspective or just anything, it hooks up and it goes. And even like here, we got a little bit of space in front of us here, so we'll go ahead and put the car in sport mode, let it slow down a little bit, do like a little bit of a 40 roll on here just to show you guys how quickly it moves along, because it's impressive. I mean, I didn't expect this car to be that much faster than my GTI, and it really feels substantially different. It moves like on this tune that the car has. I think its target is like 30 psi or 31 pounds of boost, so it's quick. I mean, it puts you into your seat, it hooks up, it goes, there's no drama, and I love that about it. A lot of people also ding the S3 A3 for the interior, obviously being that it's based off of the cheapest Audi, whereas the GTI Golf R is one of the more expensive Volkswagens. And honestly, I think if you get this car equipped right, it doesn't feel cheap. I've got the LED interior package here, I've got the sports seats as you saw before, and I really feel that does well for making the car feel more premium. Now, if you've got one of these that's a little bit more base, and you've got just the standard seats, and you've got the halogen lights in here, that all kind of plays into it. But again, I didn't lose anything from my GTI aside from the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which can be easily remedied with a aftermarket module here. They make something called CarLink, where it pretty much just piggybacks off the factory infotainment system in the glove box here, and it allows you to add your own Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, wireless, all that good jive there. So I'm not really worried about that. I've got a foam mount on the way from Clear Mounts that's going to mount right up here, and that'll also allow me to integrate my phone mounted here if I don't want to do the CarLink module there. So I'm not really worried about that, but everything else as far as like the instrumentation, I've got heated seats, I mean, that's all there. So if you get one of these optioned right, you're not going to be missing anything that you'd be having in a GTI. You can find these with the blind spot, you can find these with the adaptive cruise control, the lane keep, all of that. So aside from that, maybe you don't like the screen, maybe you don't like the dashboard layout. The car does actually feel a little bit smaller inside than my GTI, which is kind of surprising to me. I know these all share the same MQB chassis, so I'm not really sure why this car feels more narrow than my GTI, but the steering, even though I'm sure it's probably the same steering, it feels more direct. This car seems more eager to turn in. Maybe it's because of the rear differential that wants to kind of help pivot the car around. Maybe it's because of the MagneRide suspension that wants to ride a little bit differently. I'm not sure what the reason is, but the car does kind of seem a little bit more engaging to drive. Yeah, you have the added weight, but it's well made up for with what you're gaining from the all-wheel drive system, so that's pretty neat. Build quality, I'm gonna say it, I think this is built better than my GTI inside. This has, I don't know, roughly 5,000 less miles than my GTI when I got rid of it, but there are absolutely no squeaks and rattles. The previous owner told me that the sunroof in this car didn't make any noise, and I didn't believe him because all these cars, the MQB cars that have these big sunroofs, they squeak and they rattle. And for whatever reason, this one doesn't. This car rides absolutely silent. The only noise I'm hearing right now is a little bit of something shaking that I've got around in the door panel there. But the car itself is absolutely silent. And this is on a 25-degree winter day where the car's been sitting outside. There's water frozen on it and stuff like that. And it's quiet. It's silent. And I absolutely love that about the car. Oh, I hope you guys are ready to sit behind an 18-wheeler for a bit here. Can't wait for that. That'll be real fun. But yeah, just as we're kind of out here, and wow, it's crazy. Look at all that snow. There is snow mounds everywhere. But just as we're driving this car around, to kind of give you, my first thoughts and impressions, it's everything I liked about the GTI built on a little bit more. You've got the all-wheel drive for the added grip and the added kind of rotation when you're cornering more aggressively and things like that. You've got the factory bigger turbo for the more power. You've got this magnetic ride suspension, which rides insanely nice and insanely adjustable. I love that. And I'm a sucker for the look of sedans. I'll have to throw up some pictures or do a quick little walk around of the exterior of this car. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think this car is as close as you can get to perfectly exterior styled with proportions as far as that goes. Like the way the overhangs are and the door lengths and the window belt line and everything. I just think these are such sharp looking cars, and I think it looks more mature and just more aesthetically pleasing than the GTI, in my opinion. You can tell me I'm wrong in the comments. I welcome that. Please let me know. But I love the way these look, and like I was saying in the last video, I've wanted one of these in this color with these options for a very, very long time, and it just made too much sense in a way for me to kind of not do it. So, the stars aligned, and I went ahead and I picked myself up this car, and I must tell you, in the short time that I've owned it and been driving it so far, I have absolutely no regrets with it. This car has been well maintained. There's paperwork for that. It's got the right mods, and I can't wait to start driving this car in the summer on better tires, on everything like that, because again, I haven't even had the chance to hand wash this car and have it mic spec clean. The owner cleaned it up for me. I've ran it through some touchless automatic car washes, but it's winter, it's salty out. Also, this car does have the LED headlights, and I think they're awesome. They get a lot of slack online for not being that great, but they're not really any different than my GTI HIDs were. These still are dynamic, so you've got the cornering lights that go out. They pivot with the car and everything like that, and I think they're more than sufficient for what you'd expect out of this type of car. Out of any car. I can see at night just fine. It's not a big deal. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this one. I just kind of wanted to take you guys for a quick little drive in this car here, give you my initial thoughts and impressions on the car, let you kind of hear what it sounds like a little bit there through some acceleration and everything like that. But I'm super stoked. I can't wait to bring you guys more content about this car. It's very fun to drive. I think this is also going to fill right in line with where the GTI did, where this will be a great road trip vehicle because it's very comfortable. As long as you're staying out of the boost, it's pretty good on gas, and it's got a bigger gas tank, which I like, than the GTI there as well. The GTI, you weren't really able to go 300 miles to a tank. With this, it's easily done. You can go 350 to maybe even a little bit more per tank of gas. Drop it in the comments down below if you guys are excited to see S3 content on the channel, because I am about it. I've wanted this car for a long time. I'm so stoked to have it in my hands, and I'm so stoked that it's in a spec that I wanted. Be sure to subscribe because we've got plenty of other content coming your way as well. This is Mike from the Focus Garage signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. I think I did you guys dirty in the entire video here, and I left out a little pull here from a stop, so I've got to show you guys what obviously this all-wheel drive car can do when you're getting up from a dig. So let this guy pass, and we're gonna go ahead and do a quick little send here. Woo-hoo-hoo! As you can see, it gets up to traffic very, very quickly and in a hurry. What happened there is why it shifted slowly is because The car put power to the rear, and as it was kind of turning there, it broke traction for a split second, and it did that right as we were near the rev limit, so the car kind of hesitated in the first and the second gear shift there. Totally normal, that happens, but dang, it feels good, and I will never get tired of ripping the car around like that.